Hello spooky people, my name is Betty but you mock me Babs and welcome back to school. That's right, I'm taking you back to school, back into the classroom. Sit down and get educated. As some of you guys might know, I am a university student, and as a university student I of course have to take my courses. For one of our courses, our professor said, you know what, I'm not gonna write an exam, I'm not gonna have you write an essay or some shit. I'm gonna have you do a presentation on creativity. And we were sitting there like, what do we have to do? What are the things that need to be in this presentations? And he was like, I don't give a shit. a presentation on creativity, like maybe base it around creativity in the English classroom. And that's it. That's all he said. So, you know, I sat my little butt down in the chair and I thought, what is my only other interest in life? That's right, video games. So I created a presentation on Animal Crossing in Animal Crossing and how to integrate Animal Crossing into an online English learning classroom. That is, that was a lot to say. But yeah, some of the parts in this video are a little bit exaggerated just for the dramatic effect, but I still hope that you enjoy this video. It is going to be a different, it's going to be a little bit different because I am going to not swear and not do all the things that I would normally do because my professor had to see this. So yeah, I hope that you still enjoy this video. I hope that you are getting educated. If you're a teacher and you've wanted to and integrate Animal Crossing into your classroom, I'm showing you how. Go ahead, take my ideas. Yeah, with that being said, I really hope that you enjoy this little presentation and the little video that I've prepared for my class, and yeah, enjoy. Hi everyone, my name is Betty and today I would like to introduce to you an idea about integrating video games, in my case Animal Crossing, into an online class setting. For this, I would like to first bring you back in time a bit. We as a generation of online first semester students are all very much familiar with the following problem. When the COVID-19 pandemic swept through our school system, it caused nothing but trouble. Meeting in a traditional classroom setting was no longer an available option, and suddenly teachers sat at home struggling with this new concept called online classes or online classrooms. Schools, their teachers, the students, as well as the parents were wholly unprepared for the whole situation. Online Berlin-wide school portals were introduced relatively quickly, but who would explain these to the teachers? Aha, that's not a problem. They can just look it up in the FAQs, right? Right? Especially the older generation that didn't know how to work the new technology was struggling quite a bit. I vividly remember having to figure out my mom's entire online school system, sitting on the phone with her younger teaching colleagues, desperately trying to make it make sense. And even for us, as the younger technology-affine generation, it was really difficult. But we figured it out and found a nice way to explain it to the rest of the school's teachers. So far so good. The teachers' problems, technology-wise, have been solved. The only problem that's left now is, how do you create an online class that is entertaining for the kids, teaches them something nice, and keeps them entertained and actively involved for more than 5 minutes? Before I get into that, I think we should take the student side into consideration, so why don't we take a look at what happened at some students' houses? Obviously, during the pandemic, not only the kids had to stay at home, but parents were sentenced to a life sentence in home office jail. Why do I phrase it this drastically? Well, at home, you as a parent have to focus on working perfectly fine as if you're in the office. But you're not. And you also have the worst co-workers imaginable, your lovely children. That being said, you have to take care of your bored, screaming kids from dusk till dawn, all while supervising their schoolwork, and in the worst case scenario, you even have to share your computer with them because you sadly don't own 5 computers to supply your whole household with. Additionally, in some online meetings, you were expected to turn on your face cam, ultimately resulting in your kids walking around in the background in their underwear. That doesn't sound too nice, right? Well, let's face it, that's the reality. Now, this is where my idea starts. No, not with the underwear. I just said not all students have a computer at their disposal. But do you know what most of them own? A phone and some kind of gaming console. And that is all I need for my creative teaching idea. A study actually showed that not only do most kids by the age of 7 already own a mobile device, but they also spend about 3 hours and 20 minutes texting, gaming, and being online. Now add a high number of your choice for the time they spend in front of their PlayStation, Switch, or Xbox, and you have a surprisingly high screen time that most of our own past 7-year-old selves would not even be able to imagine. But why not use this to our advantage? For my idea, I'm going to assume that I, as a teacher with a lot of technical knowledge, have a class that meets the following 4 requirements. 1. All of my kids own a mobile device that is able to access the internet. 2. My students are proud owners of one of the 107.6 million sold units of the Nintendo Switch. 3. All of my students own the game Animal Crossing New Horizons, which sold 37.62 million copies. And finally, number 4, the students own a Nintendo membership that allows them to play online. This would cost about 20 euros a year, which would come down to 1.6 euros a month, and I believe that is a reasonable price. Now, looking at all of these numbers, it is also actually not too far-fetched. But how do you use that game in a classroom setting? Easy. I actually have multiple examples here for you. However, if you are unfamiliar with the game, let me give you a quick overview of why I think this game is the optimal choice for a situation like this. In Animal Crossing, you live on a deserted island that you can design and decorate to your heart's content. What this means is that, as a teacher, you have the ability to create your dream classroom setup and environment that is friendly and, most importantly, safe. Why is it safe? Well, let me explain. This island is not like a website that could potentially lead students to other pages on the internet with one simple misclick. This island works as your own server, basically a place that no one can enter unless you allow them to. This can be done via the airport, where your local Dodo pilots will give you a code that only your students can use to travel to your island. The number of visitors on your island is limited to 8, which is sadly not enough for a whole class, but works perfectly fine if you plan on teaching smaller groups. Students can then connect via the Nintendo app on their phone in a voice chat, and the teaching can begin. Now let's get to the interesting stuff. What can you actually do? For that, I'm going to take you along on my own Animal Crossing island, but I apologize in advance, it is decorated for Halloween and therefore might not fit the ideal classroom aesthetic. One of the greatest aspects of integrating Animal Crossing into an online English classroom is holding presentations. The options are nearly limitless. For example, in your grade 3 class, you are discussing the topic of dream jobs. In a normal classroom setting, your kids would have prepared a nice poster with pictures showcasing the work attire and what they do. But you are in an online class, so that doesn't really work. Instead, your kids can come to your island with a prepared oral presentation while being dressed up as their dream job. Firefighter, nurse, doctor, fisherman, or WWE star. The options are limitless. While giving the presentation, other students can react to what is being said with one of the many emotions available in the game without interrupting the presenter. After this, an oral feedback can be given to the students. Once all presentations are done, the teacher can send all students back to their own islands with a simple press on the minus button. Another huge topic in the English classroom is pets and favorite animals. Some teaching units will actually only focus on local bugs and fish. So why don't we take a trip to the island's museum? A lot of museums actually had to close for a long time, even for class tours. But that's not a problem anymore. This museum is open 24/7 and provides you with more than any other museum in real life ever could. You can, for example, split your students into groups of bugs and fish and have them guide you through the respective rooms while presenting their little critters to each other. While we are in the museum, another topic could be the history of the Earth, dinosaurs, or other fun things. So let's go down into the fossil exhibit. Here the students can talk about their favorite dinosaurs, learn new fun facts, and even discover some secrets. They could also exchange fossils they found on their own island and complete their own museums while learning new facts. But that's not all the museum has to offer. Even the art gallery will be open to your students. Here they can check out some of the most famous art pieces ever and educate themselves on the artists and their history. This gallery is sadly not complete yet, but I'm working on it. If, after all of this, you as a teacher might need a break and a strong coffee, the Roost is not too far away, so rest assured. Are you maybe also familiar with the struggle of teaching your students prepositions? Even this problem can be solved in Animal Crossing. You could just arrange items and have the students describe their positions in relation to each other, or even add yourself as a moving object to make things a little bit more difficult. That being said, the game is generally perfect if you want to practice describing things, because there are endless possibilities for your students to practice that all over the island. Have you and your students been sitting in front of your online work for hours and hours without movement? Well, why don't you just encourage them to take the movement break with this simple plaza workout routine? It's fun and you actually receive in-game rewards for completing multiple of them. And finally, Animal Crossing is generally great to keep in contact with your students. It not only provides a safe space for them to meet up, also outside of schoolwork, without having to use their parents' electronics, but they also don't have to show anything of their actual home if they are not completely comfortable with it. The game design and the character options allow the students to freely express themselves, even if they might be a little more shy in real life. Another very important fact, in my opinion, is that if there are problems at home that students don't feel comfortable with, they can just send you an in-game postcard discussing their problems. This is a safe way for them to grab the teacher's attention without making things worse for them at home. Now, you're probably wondering, hey, that's nice and all, but aren't there still, some problems here? Well, there are, of course, some cons. If students have an unstable connection, they might get kicked off your island. But that would also be the case in any other online meeting setup, and I think we are all quite familiar with that. Another problem is that only small groups can work on the island, but there is a greater possibility to focus on these smaller groups, and some students won't be able to hide behind their more active peers. Also, I personally see no fault in connecting students through a game that allows them to communicate freely with their friends without having to bother their parent. Additionally, in Animal Crossing, because it is a standalone game on a console, parents don't have to worry about their kids accidentally pressing on something they're not supposed to. But most importantly, it is simply a fun way of bringing the kids together and having them learn something while they're at it. If you are still not convinced, there are actual studies proving that integrating video games into your classroom can have positive effects on your students. For example, a study by Kurt Squire showed that bringing video games into the classroom will at the very least heighten the students' motivation. In fact, games create intrinsic motivation through fantasy, control, challenge, curiosity, and competition. The only problem is that students at first will not really know how or why exactly this game will teach them anything. It is therefore important to properly explain it to the students and set up certain rules, like our university did with our netiquette during WebEx seminars. Another study by Selin Turkey presents the idea of viewing video games as designed experiences in which participants learn through a grammar of doing and being. Meaning, the students will learn through actively participating in a video game-based experience. And finally, there's actually an entire institute, the Games for Learning Institute, G4LI, a multidisciplinary alliance of game designers, computer scientists, and education researchers that solely focuses on developing games for schools and the education around it. So, let me sum this all up. A creative teaching idea is to bring students together in the game Animal Crossing as a substitute for boring, traditional online seminars or meetings. There, the students can complete a multitude of different tasks that target the same problems a normal class would, like, for example, presenting in front of your peers or just practicing vocabulary. While completing these tasks, the students can engage with each other in a fun way without relying on their parents' assistance due to the simplicity of the game's concept. The options of interaction are endless and can be customized and altered in relation to the students' needs or talents. The students can also bring in their own ideas and therefore create an experience that they will definitely remember for a very long time. With that being said, I really hope you enjoyed my presentation. All sources will be provided at the very end of this video. Stay safe, stay creative, And to quote one of my favorite Animal Crossing NPCs, if you're ever in trouble, just ask yourself, what would dodos do? Alrighty guys, how did you like my presentation? I hope you really enjoyed it. I hope you feel educated. I hope you now know how to integrate Animal Crossing into your classroom. And I hope you do. Like, do a class in Animal Crossing. Who's stopping you? I don't know. With that being said, I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye!